Welcome to Pick Yourself Up. I'm Assegid Habtewold, your host. Today we have a special guest in our studio. Her name is Judy Stephenson. She is Montgomery County's small business navigator. We're going to have some discussions about her personal life, professional experience, and also about her work focusing on small businesses. Judy, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Using one word, who is Judy?
Judy is determined.
Determined. Why is that?
Because I never give up. And if I'm trying to help somebody, or I'm trying to get information, or I'm trying to have a positive impact on something, I'll just keep trying until there is some result.
All right, awesome. Within 60 seconds, would you mind to summarize what you do?
So as the small business navigator for Montgomery County government, my role is to help small businesses if they have questions about whether they need a license or a permit, or are there zoning issues or questions that they might have. I want to lease a space. Can I have that kind of business there? Or sometimes it's about I'm having a problem interacting with the county department. I don't understand what the rules are. I need some help, in which case I can kind of work as a intermediary between the department and the person. Sometimes it's just taking language and putting it in a different context so that people can understand what the rules and regulations are.
I have seen you and also watched you interacting with other small business owners. It looks like it's not just a job for you. It looks like it's your passion. Tell me more about that.
So I ran a small business in the county for 10 years. So I understand what it takes. I had to make payroll. I had to worry about moving money to cover bills. I did everything from interviewing people to buying, supplies for the office. So I understand what it takes to be a small business person. And I'm really, really passionate about ensuring that Montgomery County is a good place for small businesses to thrive. So, just being there to help them is one thing. Ultimately, my objective is to really make changes to how the county operates so that it's a better place for small businesses to do business and, again, to grow, because that's really what we want.
So do people reach out to you and ask you questions, or you reach out to them? How do people interact with you? Do they come to your office, or do you have a web page where they go and ask questions? How does that work?
Well, so I'm the first person in this role. Let me just say that. So I kind of created it, right? And I spent a lot of time at the very beginning going out to different locations, Chamber of Commerce meetings, business events, just to let people know I was there. Being one person, the limited opportunity.
All over, yeah.
So one of the things that I did after interacting with businesses for a while is I created a business portal for Montgomery County. And what that does is it brings together all of the types of permits and licenses and regulations and laws that impact the local business community. And it at least puts them all in one place. It doesn't really recreate content, it's a doorway. But at least it's all in one place, so you can kind of browse through it and see what might apply to you. And of course, I have contact information for myself in there. So if people don't find what they're looking for, yes, they call me all the time, which is fine.
Yeah, I asked that question because initially I didn't know that your office existed until Tababu Asafa, who is also active in our community, told me about you, and he created the connection.
Right.
That's how I could be able to know. So there may be people who may not know even that your office exists.
Absolutely.
Especially they need to navigate, especially immigrant business owners. They may not know what's available in the county. Knowing you could be able to help them to navigate and see if there are any opportunities in Montgomery County for small businesses.
Well, it's really interesting that you say that, because many small businesses, I'm sure you would agree, grow their business through word of mouth. And so just in that way, by reaching out to people, especially people that are influential in the communities, getting to know them, then they tell other people that this resource is available.
And so on.
Right.
From your experience so far, what are the most important resources that a lot of small businesses are not aware?
Well, let me just say this. We are very fortunate, and small businesses are in Montgomery County, to have access to, especially for startups,
Yeah.
to several different organizations that provide training, technical assistance, counseling, and many people don't know those resources are out there.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things we do try to do. In my experience, there's several things businesses are looking for. Information. So do I need a license? Do I need a permit? What do I need to do to start my business? Access to capital is huge. So we do try to make information available to the business community about sources of financing. Access, and then one of the other big ones is access to procurement opportunities. So how do I do business with the county? So those kinds of things, those are maybe the three main buckets of things that I get questions about.
Which one do you think is more misunderstood or not accessible to many small businesses?
Really the first one, it's information.
Okay.
It's, you know, what licenses, what certificates, where do I need to register? So there's a lot of confusion, and that's actually where some of these organizations that provide the one-on-one counseling can also be really helpful.
Okay. I know you coached me, you helped me understand, navigate through the Montgomery County opportunities. Let's, for the benefit of my audience, let's assume that we just met. I'm the owner of a small business and I'm an immigrant from Africa. What would you advise me first?
So the first thing I would say is don't consider contracting with Montgomery County as your training ground. Okay. So come with experience. Get a little past performance under your belt. And then once you have that experience, there are lots of ways for you to research what kinds of contracts the county has. For people who live in Montgomery County, one of the things I really encourage people to do is go look at Data Montgomery. It's our open data portal, and there's lots of information out there about things that the county does and interactions the county has. One of those being all of our contracts are posted public information. So you could go on and see, you know, does Montgomery County buy what I sell? I mean, that's really one of the first questions to ask, right? So, you know, if you're selling widgets and we never buy widgets, then we're probably not a good target customer for you.
So let's tackle them one by one. The first one is, rather than just jumping and trying to work with the county, it's better to find out other clients in the Montgomery County, and then once you have some experience, then you could be able to compete at the county level. Could you give me some more advices on how I could be able to know with which companies in Montgomery County that I could be able to work with?
So I have a couple of different ways for you to think. There's lots of data out there. And let's, first of all, we talked about the contracts. All of those are out there. So that lets you know that XYZ Corporation already has a contract with Montgomery County. You can go to them and offer your services on that contract in many different ways. It may be that you would be a subcontractor, you do that kind of work, but you have a niche, something that would be of value to them. Or it could be that you offer a service that that business needs unrelated to the work they're doing for the county. You know, let's say it's an IT company, but you do cleaning services. You could still go to them and say, hey, I'm a local company, I could do this. And then the third thing is if you have any kind of minority certifications. So if you are certified by, we accept several different certifications, you can go to those companies and say, look, I could help you fulfill your minority performance plan, because all of those prime contractors for the county are required to have a performance plan in place for utilizing small woman-owned and disabled-owned businesses.
There is a percentage for that, yeah?
There's a goal.
They have to meet that percentage. 10%? I think they're trying to increase it.
So there's a few different ways that we look at that. And the county itself has goals for utilizing these different types of businesses, and the goals may vary depending on the type of service. So construction might be different than retail. I'm just saying. So those things are all easily researched. You can go out to the county website, look on the procurement website, find a lot of information about the procurement programs. One is focused on local businesses, the other is on the minority, female, and disabled owned.
I'm asking these questions because initially, when I was certified as a minority business in Montgomery County, I thought I could be able to get some contract from the county. I didn't. Now I understand what was that, why it was that, because I don't have a lot of experience.
Right.
I don't even know which services the county needs from me,
Right.
and so on and so forth. Now I understand that I need to approach those companies who have contracts with the county.
Right. Well, for one thing, too, I always get people to try and think bigger than just Montgomery County as a client.
Yeah.
Because when you think about it, we have all these vendors. We're one potential client. All of those contractors, I mean, it could be 1,000 potential clients. So it increases your pool of potential opportunities.
Yes, yes. I like
And for
that.
other kinds of businesses, using that Data Montgomery website where there's all of this open information, the example I use is, let's say you're a pest company and you do exterminations. So if you were to look at the food inspection database and see which restaurants get closed down because of issues with pests, you might market to those restaurants and say, hey, I do this. I can help make sure you don't get in trouble with the health department for having pests. So thinking differently about the information that's available out there, instead of just thinking in one way, I want a contract with the county, but rather looking at the data that's available from the county as a way to grow your business.
Awesome, awesome. Let's talk about some of the challenges small business owners are facing in the county. What if you have to, for example, prioritize them? What are the most challenging small business that came to you individually? I mean, if you remember some cases, you don't need to
Sure.
mention the names of those small businesses, but
Well, I do think that information overload is definitely a problem. Where do I even find what I need? And then I think consistently access to capital is a problem. Startup capital, but then also expansion capital. So how do I'm ready to go to the next level. How do I get what I need to actually take my business, to grow my business?
do you have some suggestions for those people who are looking for capital? Yeah.
So, make sure that you, make sure you have your information together. It's kind of the basic things that are frustrating because you have to do them.
Yeah.
You have to have a business plan. If you're going to any kind of financial institution to get a loan, you need to have a business plan. They have to see what you think your company is going to do and how you're going to grow it. They have to have some faith. And again, just like past performance, you have to have some credit history, and you might have to have some collateral. So these are things that people need to think about. And I always tell people, establish that relationship, get a line of credit, at least get a credit card before you need it. Because if you need it and it's an emergency and you go in, it's much harder. It's much better if you establish that relationship ahead of time before you need the money.
Awesome. This is the right place really to take a quick break. We'll
Okay.
come back. Dear our viewers, let's take a quick break. We're going to come back again and continue our discussion. Stay tuned.
I understand. I know it's not your typical resume.
Okay, well,
But candidate. But I've been working double shifts just to pay for books. I've been raising my 2 little brothers. I'm determined, driven, motivated. Isn't that what you're looking for?
Look beyond the resume and discover new ways to develop great talent at gradsoflife.org.
Welcome back. We've been talking about how to do business in Montgomery County. In the studio, we have Judy Stephenson. She is Montgomery County Small Business Navigator. Let's continue our discussion. Judy, let's talk about how you inspire yourself, how you overcome challenges. We all have personal and professional business challenges. From your own experience, are there some nuggets that you think helpful to our audience in terms of when you face a challenge, how do you overcome it? What are some of the things that worked for you?
So if you remember when I used the word to describe myself, which
Yes,
is determined.
determined.
So, challenges come up all the time.
Yes.
And there's different kinds of people, and people approach things in different ways. I'm determined, right? So I'm going to figure out a way
Yeah.
to get past the challenge. And I think that what I do is I learn, right? So I hit this wall, this didn't work. What did I learn from that, right? So I can't do this because that didn't work. But maybe if I go here and try this, maybe I go over, maybe I go, whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever you learned from your first attempt that didn't work, it's then taking a look at that and thinking, okay, well, that didn't work. How can I alter my approach that might work?
I call that, of course, it's a well-known term called failing forward.
Exactly.
You
I love
failing
that, yeah.
rather than falling back and
Right.
complaining and I cannot bypass this.
Right.
I could say, you know what, I'm failing, but learning
Right.
while I'm moving forward. I like that.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I've known people in the past where they'll say, well, I tried that before, it didn't work.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, okay. What did you learn from that, and what can we do differently? So that's kind of, and I typically have a pretty positive attitude. So, it's always looking ahead. It's always trying to make some progress, right? And
Yes.
celebrating that. You may not have gotten everything, but maybe you got something. And that's, you reward yourself with what you did accomplish, and then figure out a way to get forward.
I like that because our brain mostly functions well when you reward it.
Right.
So if you have some small wins, if you celebrate for that, you could be able to really stay positive in a very challenging situation.
Right.
Do you remember any challenge that you have faced and you overcome it, and then looking back, I would have done it differently, something like that. We all have regrets, like I would have done that challenge
Yeah.
better considering where I am today.
That's really interesting because there's two ways to look at that. Sure, looking back, oh gosh, I wish I'd done that differently. Absolutely, you have that. But I also think I wouldn't be where I am if I didn't do it the way I did it. And that could be good or bad, I guess,
Yeah,
But
yes.
I don't know. You can't. You can't go back and change what
Change
you
it.
did. But
Impossible.
again, you might learn from it. And
Yeah.
if that comes up again, I'll do it in a different way.
Yeah, by the way, some people tell me that, hey, Assegid, I don't have any challenge. I don't want to have any challenge. I tell them that, hey, you won't have any trouble with challenge if you just sit in one place.
That's right.
If you want to progress in life, then you're going to have challenges because this is a natural law. Other people tell me that, Assegid, if I face a challenge, I just quit.
Right.
But quitting is not the solution because some people think, I have this challenge because maybe I'm in the wrong route or maybe I chose
Right.
the wrong path and so on and so forth. It may not be because anything that's worth celebrating, it has challenges. So
Sure.
when we face challenges, we need to learn and move on and go forward.
Right. I like that.
Yeah. Let's talk about back
Challenges.
again, the challenges. Challenges about small business
Right.
owners. What are the most important things that small business knows because that knowledge may help them prevent them from being tripped.
Right.
So are there some issues that may trip small business owners?
So let's talk about when you're past the startup, okay?
Yeah.
And what I'm thinking about is when you're ready to either move into office space or you want to start you could be starting a business if it's retail or something like that, but in a physical location.
Okay.
Lots of businesses get tripped up by this because there are a lot of rules in any jurisdiction about what you can do in certain places, what kinds of businesses are permitted, okay? And it's the whole zoning of...
Overwhelming for a lot
Yeah.
of people.
It is. I mean, even trying to explain to someone how to go look up the zoning for a particular location, it's complicated. But it's very important because when somebody signs a lease, they're assuming they can do their business in that location. And that is not always the case. And if you if you commit to a location and you want to do something that's not permitted there, or if it represents what's known as a change of use, so it's permitted, but the previous business was doing something completely different in that space, there can be a lot of costs involved in ensuring that your business can operate in that space.
Wow.
So I think that a couple of things people can do, they can call me, people can call me anytime, and I can help with that. They can call our Department of Permitting Services. If you have a space and you're getting ready to move forward, I always recommend people do it's called a preliminary design consultation with the permitting department. And you sit down and you look at your plans and you look at your space, and they give you ideas about things that might trip you up, and things to look for and things to consider as you're building out a location. But it's one of those things that people aren't really familiar with, but it can be very costly in terms of money and time if you aren't aware of it and you're not covering all your bases when you're thinking of it.
Yeah, I understand that this could be a challenge to everybody, but I can imagine how much challenging it is for an immigrant.
Absolutely.
Earlier we were talking about, for example, if I do a business in my home country, I know the culture, I know the system, I have heard about it throughout my my years, and I may know, what to do, where the quicksand are. I could be able to know where the wild animals are. But when you are in a new culture, it's very hard to understand. It's overwhelming, and really immigrant business owners need some kind of help to quickly understand those things that may trip them and cost them a lot of money.
Well, one thing I would actually like to point out with County Executive Elrich, our new county executive, one of the things that he's really interested in is making sure that that services are provided to the local business community, more boots on the ground, if you will, so more geographically distributed throughout the county, closer to people. So one of the things we'll try and do is bring some of our county departments into our regional service centers, closer to where the people are, do some training, things that you need to think about if you're going to open a bricks and mortar business, or if you're interested in doing business with the county. So I think that, it could be that other countries, cities, wherever, may not be as regulated, and that's not the right word. It's organized. Our zoning is a way to organize our community so that people understand where residents are and where businesses are and where industry is, so that it's not all jumbled on top of itself or each other. But that's not something that is necessarily consistent everywhere. So learning about those things is really important.
I like the new strategy that the county executive is implementing, because rather than waiting, especially the immigrant community who are new to the culture, to the system, the county itself going directly to the people. Because think about this, if I'm new to a new culture, I have blind spots. I may not even know what I need.
To ask.
We had 2 discussions with you and email conversations. The majority of the things, I knew them once you talked about them. I didn't have any clue even. So I wouldn't have come to you and asked you questions because I don't even know that they are important.
That's funny, because I tell people, if they call me about one thing, I always say, look, keep my name and number, because if you run into a problem, just don't forget that I'm here. But what happens is people get involved in a process, and they get so focused on that they forget that there's other resources.
Exactly. Thank you very much by being available, always reaching out and helping. You went the extra mile for me, and I'm sure you've been going the extra mile to other small businesses. And we need that kind of public servants who go beyond what's expected to serve their people. One question I have, which may interest a lot of small business owners, is I can't do business with the county if I'm not in good standing. So tell me about what is this good standing means and how to be in a good standing.
Well, I think it just speaks to all of the things we've been talking about, how complicated the environment can be. But and this is kind of unique to Maryland. But businesses in Maryland register with the state of Maryland. You register as a business with the state of Maryland. And part of that process is an annual requirement to file a business personal property tax return. Okay? And you file that with the state of Maryland. Now what gets confusing is you get a tax bill from the county. So the state does the assessment and sends the assessment to the county, and the county issues the tax bill. But this is what trips up a lot of businesses, because they do it when they register, and then they have to remember to do it every year.
Every year.
And if you are not, so if you're paid up, if you've filed your return and you've paid your property tax, you're in good standing.
Yeah.
If you don't, then at some point the state converts your status. You're not in good standing. And
what are the implications of that?
Right. So if you're
that
not
happens, what happens?
Well, you know, eventually your business gets forfeited at the state. They just assume if you haven't filed this, you're not in business anymore. But even if you're if you're not in good standing, then you can't get a contract with the county. Right. So we check that for everybody that is a potential vendor, awardee of a contract, and if they're not in good standing, they have to resolve that before they can be awarded a contract. And if time is important in a contract, you might lose out on getting a contract.
Until you sort that out.
Right.
I'm sure that a lot of people may have follow-up questions to you specific to them. So how could people reach out to you and get more information? So
I would encourage everybody to look at the Montgomery County Business Portal, which is our www.montgomerycountymd.gov/BIZ. Okay, just at the end of the thing. Or just go to the county's website, and there's a tab, a drop-down menu for business. Take a look at the information that's there, but if you have a specific question, just go to the Contact Us. My name's there. My colleague, Daniel Caroma, is also available. You can just call either one of us, and we'll do everything we can to answer your questions and help.
Awesome. Do you have last-minute advice? You can look at the camera and tell them, okay, if you're a small business owner, any advice, anything that we haven't covered so far?
Well, first of all, thank you. Thank you for being a business owner in Montgomery County. Thank you for being a part of our community, because local businesses are the foundation of our community. And the second thing is, get everything you can. Get all of the assistance you can, get all of the advice you can, call anytime. If we're giving you resources for organizations that can help you with training and counseling, do it. I mean, there's no reason not to. Most of the time this is low cost or no cost, and it will help you build a stronger business and be really positioned to grow and contribute even more.
Yeah, thank you very much for coming here to share these great ideas that are going to help small business owners. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Dear our viewers, this is my hope that you enjoyed our conversation. Until I see you with another guest, another discussion, have a wonderful time. Thank you very much for watching.